Hello everyone! Welcome back to yet another episode of Kerbal Space Program Career Mode! So, last time I got a Kethane satellite up in orbit. Let's actually back out of here for a moment. Why does it sound so loud? Oh, it's because my sound is all the way up. I need to turn it down a little bit. There we go. That should be better. So, we've been scanning Minmus. All the way out here. I want to focus on Minmus, not the probe. And we have managed to cover a somewhat significant portion of Minmus. Not quite enough to be exactly what I want. I'm going to be doing a lot more scanning of this when I'm not launching missions. But we do have an area that does have Kethane in an okay spot. Now, it's not a perfect spot, but I'm willing to bet that I can probably get my mining rig down there and everything will turn out a-okay. So, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make a quick probe that I will launch to land, and we'll actually use... we'll modify the ComSat launcher because that one seems like a good one to me. So everything here is pretty much exactly the way we need it. I just need to make one adjustment. Or no, this actually is the one that has the antenna. Yep, there's the antenna. So I can get this thing back pretty quick. So the only thing we really need to add are some micro landing struts, because that's all we need to be able to land this little probe body. There, that looks better to me. And I will keep... I think I can... no, I will leave it as is. So this is what we're going to send up to check out the surface of Minmus, to see if we have a good spot. LR probe, because it's a long-range probe, because it's got long-range communication devices on. That's all I need to say to make it a long-range probe. I did do a pretty good job making this thing compact, I believe. And it does have a pretty good amount of battery storage. Probably not exactly enough, but it will last quite a while. Okay, so I will see you on Minmus, hopefully. Okay. We're coming to the point where we're actually going to land on Minmus. I've chosen where I'm going to land, right in this little cluster area. I realize now that I could have landed on a flat, actually. And I might actually do that with my main mining rig. It's a possibility. This little probe, though, it's going to have to land here to survey the area, because there is pretty much no way we're going to be able to land there right now. Our scanner satellite's on the quiet side of Minmus. No radio contact at all. And I believe that we probably wouldn't get contact with our little probe here. So, away we go. I actually got that burn estimated pretty good. Okay. And now everything else is going to have to be done by sight. Fortunately, we will have sunlight and radio contact. All good things. Now, if I could just tell where exactly we were going to be landing. I'm hoping that we can land on this little plateau here, because that's a relatively flat area. I will not, however, hold my breath. But it does look like we are heading in that general direction, and if we look from up here, yeah, we might actually be heading directly towards it. So it's very possible that this could be a good mining operation. The ground looks to be fairly level. Actually, I should quick save, because we are on our downward trajectory. And, oh yes, Minmus is going to be slowly moving underneath us, so I may have to pick up and move elsewhere after we land, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. We do have a very low amount of fuel, however, so perhaps I should have kept the transfer part attached for longer. Oh well, no point worrying about it now. We already quick saved. Can't go back. And if the probe fails, that's right, because we do have a flat spot that we can actually go to. And we can collect science from it when we get there, because I don't believe I've gone to a science or a flat spot for science yet. Now, I think that if I want to, I can actually slow us down for the most part using RCS alone. But right below us is a little bit of an edge, so... oh boy. Well, I can adjust our trajectory so we are heading more towards a flat area. This is very risky. In fact, I think I'll just go right now. And I just have to ignore all this stuff now because I can't really delete the node. And I'm going to burn off as much monopropellant as I can. It'll help slow us down just a little bit. We've already slowed ourselves down by 10 meters per second. I can actually see my shadow, so we're going to have to start burning our engine in 3, 2, 1... Why are you jumping? Use monopropellant to keep our speed relatively low. I actually love using monopropellant when I'm just landing a probe. At least a tiny probe like this. Look at that. And touchdown. Alright, so this actually is a fairly flat-looking area. Let's see if we are. Yes, we are indeed in a good spot on the map. We are right in a Kethane deposit. So that is very, very good. That means we can get our mining rig set up pretty easily. And we're not actually going to be landing the mining rig this episode. But I will be showing you all the parts, and I will show you the entire assembly we're going to send over. It's going to be a while to build. So I will see you back on Kerbin. And welcome back to the VAB. Let's load up some of our parts. This is going to end up all docking in orbit to transfer to Minmus, where it will be able to be, well, put into the proper areas. Okay, let's start off with the vessel that is actually going to take us to Minmus, and that is my space tug. And I'm hoping the space tug will actually work. It's a little bit different. Yes, this thing is pretty much designed to be an autonomous space tug. It operates on its own, though it probably won't last very long in the dark sides of planets, so let's just hope that we don't really need it to do that. Of course, it'll be docked with other things, and one of the things it'll be docked with is actually going to have a Kerman on it, so... or a Kerbal, whatever you want to say. They're all Kermans. But yes, it will be docked with a vessel that will have an actual pilot, so... the fact that it might not have a very long battery life is pretty much irrelevant. On to the next part. The next part that we are going to be attaching... that's everything else is Kethane now. So, the next part is going to be, do I want to do the transporter or the processor? Let's go with the transporter, because that's going to be the part with our little Kerman. Ta-da! Behold the transporter. Now, it doesn't have a whole lot of capacity for Kethane on it, but I don't believe that's really a bad thing. Because, well, it doesn't really need to have a whole lot, I presume. As long as it's able to fill up a few tanks of the processor where it can start converting things, that's perfectly fine. And it can make multiple trips, it's completely reusable, so no worries there. I also put on these giant solar panels. I'm not entirely sure why. You know, I probably should switch those out, because giant solar panels, not necessary at all. Let's go into utilities, and we will replace those giant solar panels with regular panels, but these ones will have a case. Ooh, classy. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know why I put those giant solar panels on there in the first place. They have absolutely no purpose in this particular build. It's not like it's a vessel that requires a huge amount of power. It's just got one tiny bit of battery, which is needed for the lights, and that's all that it needs it for. So, the way this thing actually is going to work is when it's landed, it will be landing on these, the basic lander legs, and these actually go down below the wheels, making sure that if I, for some reason, forget to put the wheels away, the wheels won't get damaged. Now, the wheels are there to help us get closer to the mining rig if we land too far away. These wheels are able to have a motor turned on them so they can drive. Maybe that's why I had the giant solar panels. Oh well, they're not necessary. We have batteries. Now, this thing also comes with two different types of spotlights. There are these spotlights, which will light up the processing facility when we are trying to dock with it, and there are these lights, which are pointing toward the ground. This will make sure that we can land pretty easily on the dark side of Minmus, whenever we have to. There's monopropellant to help it get into position to dock, and Also to help orient it. You know, I really should probably add... yes, I probably should add these reaction wheels, because that would probably be far more helpful than monopropellant. I could save... Actually, I don't need to worry about that, because we'll be able to generate new monopropellant. Speaking of which, let's move on to the next vessel, the processor. Now, the processor is a fairly interesting looking construct. I decided, you know, I might as well make sure that there's some extra use for this. I can have, like, a satellite pointed at Kerbal, or Kerbin, whatever. A satellite pointed at Kerbin, and then I could potentially, if I wanted to, use these extra satellite dishes to point at other planets to help with long-range communications. Mainly to get something extra out there. It's going to have a lot of solar panels because processing ethane is probably going to use quite a bit of energy. And in order to help it dock to get everything else to the area we want to go, to Minmus, I put an extra battery up here and a docking port on top of that. The extra batteries to help make sure it has extended battery life for the dark side of Minmus. And the docking port is just to help it join the train that we're going to send over. Now, all these tanks on the outside are completely empty. This is to help make sure that the entire facility is actually light enough to get up into orbit. These tanks will be filled up by the processing of kethane into liquid fuel and oxidizer. The monopropellant... maybe I should empty those. I don't have anything up here to actually vent monopropellant. So yeah, empty all of these. There we go. That makes it even lighter, so now it's probably about as light as I can get without wasting everything. Actually, this should be empty too, because there is actually no engines on this part whatsoever. This entire thing is going to have to be done with an orbital stage. In fact, this might be the first thing I send up. I don't really know yet. Thinking about it though, reaction wheels will help. Excuse me. Ugh. I hate morning voice stuff. Reaction wheels will be able to help this actually turn around so we can dock with it much more easily. Oh yes, I forgot to mention, on the transporter part, there is one of these on the underside. Well, what would normally be called the underside. That will help make sure that our equipment is continuously able to function, so long as the transport vessel is near. And let's look at the main thing we're going to be sending down to Minmus, the mining rig. Now this one actually has some launching parts attached to it. And the launching parts, I decided to go a little bit Zestonian. This probably isn't anywhere near necessary to get up. I don't really have any idea how well these things are going to be transported. But there is quite a bit of heavy equipment on here. So I decided I better make sure that this thing is able to actually get into orbit. And I really hope it can. It actually does have monopropellant, simply to help it turn around and get positioned. And this actually has some extra equipment on it. The processing facility did too. These have pipe endpoints. There's only two of them. A ground pylon and strut endpoints. The strut endpoints are simply to help this thing with docking. the processing facility has the strut endpoints too, which are also going to be used to help make sure that the vessels can dock together and stay rather rigid. You know, so it's not flopping all over the place when it's being transported. Okay, so I suppose we should get started with the launching then, right? And do I want to send up the processing first? I do. I really do, because that one's going to be a little bit more of a pain, I feel. So let's load up the processor. And go to the sub-assemblies. Yes, I named this thing a crazy launcher. That is not where I wanted to connect. There we go. Add some extra rigidness to this. And we will add our struts to here. And here. Help make sure this thing is quite a bit more solid. Okay. I'm nervous. I will admit. These are in the wrong spot. I have never made a launching stage this particularly insane before. I'm hoping that it works out for us. So save and let's launch, and we will see if this thing explodes in a cataclysmic fireball of death. If it does, I'm going to be quite sad. Okay. Let's see, this is a side with the regular things, so this is what we're going to have to make sure I extend. I don't believe I actually set a manual activator for that, or just a quick button to press. Okay, let's get ready. Three, 2, 1, let's go. Oh boy. This thing is actually going a lot better than I expected. We are using some liquid fuel as fast as we are using solid fuel though, so let's throttle down a bit. I'll have to keep that in mind. Make sure we throttle only at about 60%. Because we want to make sure these boosters get used up first. Huh, that's a pretty nice sight. And when the solid fuel is about at the S point, wow, we actually are going up pretty fast. I will throttle up again. There we go. We are going much faster than we actually need to. We are still in pretty thick atmosphere, so this is kind of wasteful, but we are about to lose our boosters now. Okay, nothing has exploded yet. We have lost a slight amount of speed, but things are turning out okay. Getting gravity turn. We're about to lose some more weight and more thrust. Fly away, you! Okay. We are still picking up speed, so that is marvelous. Let's take a look at our apoapsis. How high is that getting? 25,000, and we are currently at 18,000. Good! Very good amount of separation there. Let's tip all the way over to the 90-degree mark. Increase our inertia, or whatever you can call it. I don't really understand any of these terms. Hey look, it's the moon! Let's just head straight there. No, that'd be quite bad. This thing's not meant for landing. Oh boy. I'm glad that worked out, actually. Because if that didn't, I would have very serious doubts about my capabilities of getting anything more complex than this into orbit. I can actually turn over quite a bit more. And I know I said that was the 90-degree line. I read this 90 and that was not the right 90 to read. Of course I did this thing as soon as sun was setting, so that was kind of foolish of me. Let's see, and we almost can activate our antenna. A little more. Activate! I just want to make sure that I'm completely out of atmosphere before I activate an antenna, because if you activate it too soon, then it will rip off and you will be a little bit, well, displeased with exactly what happened. Okay, so we actually have a lot more fuel than I thought we would need to get into orbit. And thankfully we are actually light enough that our reaction wheels, geesh, brain, why do you not work for me sometimes? Our reaction wheels can turn us pretty damn fast. So I imagine this thing is gonna be like spiraling when I have it just as the processing facility. Do I really not have any action groups for this stuff? I would have thought I would have been smart enough for that. Apparently I'm not. So we're gonna have to extend these myself. We only need to extend a couple right now. Thankfully we have such a huge amount of battery power that the dark side of Kerbin is not going to be a problem whatsoever. I would hope. I really would hope. You know, do I even need this antenna extended? I probably will have to actually retract it as soon as I bring up the next part. And the way I have this thought up is that the mining rig is going to go on the bottom here, and the transporter part is going to go up here, and the tug is going to go on the end of the transporter part. Oops, I should be burning. Oh well, slight delay in that is not going to affect it too much. We're still going to get orbit, thankfully. This thing really wants to pull up. And away those ones go. Okay. It is now pitch black. You cannot see a thing, but we are successfully in orbit. With so much more extra fuel that we absolutely do not need. Why are you rotating so much? Why are you rotating so much? Come on! Stop rotating! I want to eject this part because this is all we need up here is this particular section. And let's see, our current apoapsis is at 91,000, our periapsis is at 86,000. That is good enough for me. We don't need any higher orbit than that. Come on. Stop spinning so much. I need you pointing that way. You go that way. Okay, I might just do this when I'm pointed all the way up. This is actually quite a bit of a problem. But I will see you guys. Let's see, how long have I been recording? 1 moment. Yes, it's already been half an hour, so I will see you guys in the next episode, where we will get the rest of these parts up here. I will not be filming the launch every single time. Well, actually I will, but I will cut it out if nothing cataclysmic happens. Okay, let's just keep on going. But yes, in the next episode we will have all the parts launched up. We will rendezvous, connect them all together. I will probably record the connecting parts. And then we will transfer everything all the way over to Minmus, where we can actually make use of its vast quantities of kethane. Kethane. For all your space travel needs. And eject. Oh wait, there is actually another part up here. Oh, I do have monopropellant. Fight it! Why do I have no control? Does this thing not have any monopropellant thrusters on it? I don't think it actually does. Where do I have the monopropellant then? Because I emptied it all. Oh no, it put it back in. Oh, okay, I don't have any monopropellant whatsoever. Stop spinning! Okay, let's cheat. There we go. Spinning is over. Okay, that was fun, but I hope you guys have enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and fave. I will see you in the next episode. Take care, guys, and goodbye.